Shalom Aleichem, welcome to Tanya Outside In. We are holding in the middle of Perek Gimel. Just Yitzi, I want to just address something that you mentioned last week, because you said to me, as is your style, what's the takeaway? Which is a great question, a very important question. And although there are takeaways, but it's very important to remember that the chapters that we're in right now, so to speak, are the informational chapters of Tanya. See, the Tanya is primarily, when I say primarily, I say it almost, it's just primarily, in my opinion, instructional. It's full of advice on how to serve the Ribono Shel Olam. Full of advice, chock full of advice how to serve Hashem. Yeah, but there's also a lot of information as well. So it's very important to realize that the first 7 or 8, probably eight chapters, maybe 9 chapters or so, are really dense information. So the takeaways, there are a lot of takeaways, but the takeaways are more going to be like me pulling ideas, me pulling the takeaways out, as opposed to the Rebbe just giving advice. So keep that in mind. What we're doing right now, you can compare it to like learning Aleph Beis. A kid learns Aleph Beis, is like, but what's the point of this? Like, who cares? Aleph Beis, Gimel, Dalet. And you're like, just relax. You'll see in a few years' time, you'll start putting these random little things together, and you'll start understanding the sequence of reality. So it's a little bit like that. Although there will be takeaways, there are big takeaways, but that's more like from me than from the Tanya, in that right now we're trying to build, in many ways, we're trying to build a lexicon. Yeah, we're trying to get definitions clear of certain things, very clear. And then you'll see chapter like 8, chapter 9 plus, he starts clicking it all together. Okay. So it was, I just wanted to bring that up. Okay. So we've now introduced the Nefesh Bahamis, who is scared to death of death, so to speak. And we've introduced the Nefesh Elokis, who couldn't care less about death. In fact, doesn't want to be, just wants to merge back in with Ribono Shel Olam. And at this, before we hit chapter 3, you could have thought that the concept of a soul is just like a Casper the Ghost kind of blobby kind of thing. And now the Rebbe is explaining that that's absolutely not the case. In fact, the souls are extremely structured, even though they don't have any physicality to them. They're extremely structured, extremely structured. And they follow the structure of the universe. The universe is structured around a pattern of 10, called the 10 spheres that I'm sure everyone's familiar with, at least heard of. The 10 powers of the soul are not called 10 spheres. They're only called spheres in context to Hashem's creation. Hashem has 10 spheres. The human being doesn't have 10 spheres. A human being has 10 koiches, or sometimes called 10 bechinas, but not 10 spheres. But they're the same thing. It's the same pattern. Okay, so we divided these 10 powers. This is now chapter 3. We divided these 10 powers into 2 sections. You've got Seichel, intellect, and Midas, emotions. The Seichel is made up of 3, Chochmah, Bina, and Das, which is where Chabad, the acronym Chabad, gets its letters from. And then you've got the 7 Midas that we could really kind of sum up as 2 primary emotions and combinations thereof. We'll talk about that, B'ezrat Hashem, in the class. But that's where we left. We discussed Chochmah and Bina, and we explained that Chochmah, the more conventional way of understanding it, which is 100% correct, is like a flash of light, in which the idea is contained. So we spoke about this idea that I have for this online yeshiva. When the idea came to me in that one flash, without any time, I had the whole picture in my mind. And then now it's give it length and breadth and depth, extrapolate, understand, analyze, elaborate, etc. That's the Bina. So Chochmah is that flash, which we said actually, if you want to be more accurate, Chochmah is really just an opening. Chochmah is purely humble. It's an open space that allows the energy, the chaotic energy from above, to flow down into Bina. The Seichel. Anyone want to want to stand on this? What does the Seichel do? Can anyone, in one word, see if you could summarize what your Seichel does in one word? What's the avoider of the Seichel?
Analyze.
That's not the whole thing. That's a good definition of Bina. But
Guide.
Sorry?
Guide.
That's good. Maybe you're saying that the word I'm looking for is masader. It orders. So guide, I think, is probably the right. It's that's very helpful to understand that your seichel is masader. Some seichels are more masader than others. I know some people whose seichels aren't masader. But
would the English word for that be organized?
To organize, that would be to order or to organize, yeah.
Seichel.
What?
What is Seichel? That's the process. That's Chochmah, Bina, and Das all together is Seichel?
Exactly. And what that's doing, the reason why I'm saying it's Masader is because what is it Masader? It's Masader what's above it. What's above it? What's above Seichel?
Elokus.
No, I mean, you can always get away with saying Elokus. But Ratzon. Ratzon is above Seichel, and Ratzon is chaotic. Ratzon is just unfiltered, unrefined energy. Ratzon could save the world, Ratzon can destroy the world. Ratzon is just pure, raw, unrefined energy. So the Seichel is there, like what Michael, who said guide it? Michael, who said guide? Or Adam said guide, which is that's maybe even better in a sense. It's there to guide and order that chaotic energy to create intelligent emotions. Now, a leader, I don't want to get too sidetracked. It's just it's so interesting that there are certain people in the world who don't have a strong seichel, but that chaotic ratzon, which is intensely powerful, filters immediately down into their midas, and they can do incredible things. They can do big things. The tov v'lerah. Children, basically, the way children work is that chaotic energy goes from ratzon immediately into the midas, and therefore there's no dialogue with a child because there is no seichel until the child's 9 or 10 years old, depending. Plus, so there's that chaotic energy just going straight down into the midas and exploding. So the way it works, the ordering is that chaotic energy goes through an opening into the seichel that's called Chochmah. The Chochmah allows that chaotic energy now to enter into Bina. And now Bina does its thing. Bina understands, it extrapolates, it elaborates, it it compares and contrasts. It's the what we understand as seichel. You know what you could really sorry. Let me just, you know
Is
you,
that the beam? Is that the Mitos you were talking about?
no.
The Bina? Because you said like it goes the children, it goes into
No, that's the next stage. That's good. That's
okay.
the next stage. That Bina could be called artificial intelligence. That is what artificial intelligence is. Artificial intelligence is a Bina. And that's actually why it's called Bashkacha Bina Malachtit. I think it's called Bina Malachtit. It's actually called Bina. That is what it is. They have designed Bina. They have created the goyim or who probably a lot of Yidden have been months have invented a artificial Bina. Okay. Now, as these two kind of opposites interact with each other, Chochmah and Bina. Chochmah, they're two opposites. Mamash opposites. Chochmah is the male aspect. It's just like the germ form without any length and breadth and depth. It's instantaneous, just like the man. His contribution to the child is very small, and it's intensely pleasurable, and it doesn't last really in regards to time. It has no mahus. It has no
Or
Like reality to it.
substance. That's the word. Doesn't have any substance. And then Bina is the exact opposite. It gives it length and breadth and depth. It has a place. It takes a lot of time. They're completely the opposite. That's male and female. The relationship of those two is basically called das. Das is the
Integration.
so let's have the Rebbe guide us in this, because he says it in a few words and I'll be blubbering for hours. Yeah, so let's just go from we'll backtrack a teeny bit. The first one on the word is Rosh, 5 words down, 5 lines down, page 12 in the Tanya. V'chein nefashos legabe nefashos. Oh no, sorry, slicha, wrong, completely wrong place. The next page, page 14. Yeah, 4 lines down, page 14. First one, the word is davar. Yeah, so v'heim av v'eim hamoilidois ahavas Hashem v'yiraso yifachtoin. The Chochmah and Bina are the mother and father that give birth to emotions. And like we said, if you don't know about something, you can't have emotions about something. So the more you know about something, the more emotions you can have. So the emotions don't energize. So the seichel doesn't energize emotions. The seichel actually gives birth to emotions. If I was to say to you, what's your feelings about what's going on to the children in Kenya right now, and you'll be like, I don't know, I haven't got any feelings to it, because you don't know about what's going on. I mean, I just made that up. I don't know if there is there probably is something going on. But the more you learn about it, the more you will have emotions towards it. So it's not that they're energizing emotions, because the emotions didn't exist. They're actually born. The emotions are born of the intellect. That's a very, very important idea that we'll get back to much more deeply later.
is that Das?
Sorry?
So is that Das?
Not well. Let's see. That's a good question. Let's see. Okay, that the seichel of the nefesh hamaskeles, meaning the entire intellect, when it meditates and delves deeply into the concept of the greatness of God, which means whatever kind of does it for you in regards to Hashem. And then he explains the 3 basic meditations that you can have on Hashem, which is as follows. How he fills all the worlds. Yeah, in the technical term, we call that Shechina. The Soivev Koalmin. Yeah, you call that Kudsha Brich if you like. That's how he transcends all the worlds. Or the third and final one is that everything is that it doesn't exist. So I'm not going to get into these ideas, but these are three big ideas that we will elaborate on greatly much later on in the session.
Gerald, shut up.
Okay. Gedola Koloi Chashiv V'noidonis Oira Pidas Yiras Aroimimus. So it gives birth eventually and awakens, so to speak, a Yiras Aroimimus B'moichoi Machshavoi that exists in the moichin and in the machshava. Liol is boishes begudlas yisborach. Shein lesover tachlis v'pachal Hashem beliboy. He's basically describing. He does it in just one line. We spend much later on in the Sefer discussing the entire concept of Yiras Hashem, but I'll just give it to you in one line. He talks about being embarrassed in front of Hashem. Everybody's heard of the concept of Yiras Boishus, like the fear of embarrassment, not meaning that you're scared of being embarrassed, but there's a level of Yiras Shemayim that's called Yiras Boishus, where you're embarrassed. And this really gives us I'm just going to say it very quickly, and I'm Maven Yovin, that this gives us the concept of Yiras Hashem Bechlal, is that Yiras Hashem begins at an awareness of God, meaning I exist and I am being watched by God. God is a Metzias, he's a reality, and he's watching me, and he's there.
How is Yira in that? Maybe why it could just be called Boshus?
No, so wait, we didn't get to Boishus yet. Okay. That's just called, that's the lowest level Yira. That's not called Yiras Boishus. We're going to describe the entire scale. The lowest level of Yiras Hashem is where I exist 99% and Hashem exists 1%. Meaning he is a small detail in my life. He's there watching me, but it's very, very minor. Now that goes weiter and weiter till he's 10%, 20%, 40%. Once he hits 51%, we've moved into we call it a different thing. That's now called Yira Ilah. That's the higher level Yira. Up until 49%, we'll call that Yira Tatar, the lower level Yira, where I am primary, and Hashem also exists. When we flip over the 50% mark, now Hashem becomes the Ikar, and I also exist. Now that goes on and on and on to the point where Hashem is 99% and I'm only 1%. At that point, and maybe at some kind of point before that, you have what's called Yiras Boishus. Why is it called Yiras Boishus? A fear of embarrassment. Because at that point, you become self-conscious of your own existence and you feel like a little bit embarrassed of the fact that you exist. Just like I've said many times, a guy wearing all white, yeah, with a red spaghetti stain in the middle of his shirt, yeah? How do you think the spaghetti stain feels? He's looking around. It's like, I always joke, like when I go to Chicago and I daven on Shabbos there, I'm the one guy with a strimal, had missed 250 guys without hats or with down hats. And you feel a little bit self-conscious. That's Yiras Boishus, meaning you exist, but Hashem exists much more. And that is a source of a sense of self-conscious, positive self-conscious embarrassment. Eliezer, you want to say something?
I just wanted to know how does a person know a healthy way of measuring like what's happening? Where does it happen?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to measure it, but I mean, as you go weiter in your, I mean, especially in your
Gerald.
Sorry? Oh, Bach, you're on. I was there. You go weiter in your. I mean, the Ikar is in learning Chassidus. That's how I understand it. The only real way that I understand that you can go weiter in your perception of the Rebbeinu Shalom is in Hasidus. I don't even think in Kabbalah is that
What does
helpful.
it mean? What do you mean learning Hasidus? You mean like Tanya or like anything?
No, I personally mean Tanya.
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't know enough maybe to know where else you can get that from, because I'm sure you can get it from other places. But to mine genuine Yiras Shamayim from the Gemara is a huge avoider. Is a huge avoider. Whereas to mine Yiras Shamayim from the Tanya is a much more simple process, a quicker and more painless process than mining genuine Yiras Shamayim from the Gemara, as we see with our senses. Yeah. So now the Rebbe goes on and he's just going to explain another couple of things before we get into Das, which is what the point of this year is really about. That was all talking about the a more sichlius, a more intellectual kind of appreciation for Hashem's existence. And then he says that filters down with Pachad Hashem B'liboy, which would actually translate into a palpable, visceral emotion in the heart. And at this point, his heart will flame up with a strong flame, rishbei eish, with a tremendous longing and yearning, uchuka, the nefesh shoikika, and his nefesh will be thirsting, legudulas ein sof baruch for the Rebbeinu Shalom himself. And he says a few psukim here that again elaborated later on. Kalas nefesh. This is called kalas nefesh, where the internal experience becomes almost overwhelming. K'dichsiv nichse gam kalsa nafshi, u'ksiv tzam nafshi lelokim, u'ksiv tzam lecha nafshi. These link up with the meditations we said above. That one is talking about nichse gam kalsa nafshi. And he says Chatzeus Hashem, for the courtyard of Hashem. That's to do with Mamale Koalmin. That's just the courtyard. Then Tzam Nafshi Elokim. That's about Elokim, the Shem Elokim. That's to do with Soviv Koalmin, that he transcends the worlds, that he's unapproachable. And then Tzam Lecha Nafshi, Lecha. This is very important. When you talk to Hashem in second person, you're talking to the essence of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Very important to remember that. When you're talking to someone in second person, you've gone beyond name. When you're sitting face to face with your wife, you don't need to use her name. You just say you. That's the deepest, when you're face to face. If she turns her back on you or she's in a different room, then you have to call her name. But when you're one-on-one, when you're panim lepanim, yeah, then it's just you. There's no name. So whenever we speak to Hashem, in second person, we're talking to the essence of Hashem. We're talking to him himself beyond the name, beyond his name, him himself. This thirst, I know I'm going a little quickly through this, but trust me, it's worth going through this quickly. This thirst comes from the foundation of the fire that's in the godly soul, like the scientists say, and as is corroborated by the Eitz Chaim, that the foundation of fire is in the heart, that the heart is analogized with fire, and the brain is analogized to water and to moisture. Shibachid is Chochma, Shenikra Mayim. Chochma is a bechina of Mayim, Yesh Benefesh Peace, V'shah Midas Kulan, and then the rest of the Midas that come from there, Hein Amfa Year of the Ava V'Toidosein Kamashkas Makamacher, which are the branches of love and fear and their derivatives that we explained in a different place. Now, this is extremely important, what I'm just about to say, and then we're going to say something maybe even more important. What are emotions? What is love and fear? or in Hebrew, Ava and Yira. What are they? And it's so simple. It's annoying because probably, unless you've been in my share before, most people would not remember. Yes, good. Most people would probably kind of stumble around with that. And it's so simple. Ava is a movement towards, and Yira is a movement away. Attraction, repulsion. Not repulsion. The repulsion doesn't mean like disgusting. It means that you step back. That's it. They are movements. That's why they call it in English emotion. They're motion. They're movements towards. They're motivations. They are the ordered energy of Ratzon. Ratzon is just like a bomb. Is that bringing close or pushing away? It's everything. When we
Is this perhaps linked to Yosef and his brothers, them stepping back and then coming back towards him in the Vayigash?
I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. All emotion, everywhere.
Did you say Ahava was what?
Ava is a attraction towards. To be really accurate, Ava is actually a drawing in. It's symbolized by a kiss. What's a kiss? Kiss your hand a second. Like a little peck. What is it?
You're drawing in.
It's just a little suck. That's
Right.
what this is. So Ava really on its most primal level is actually a drawing in. We don't need to get so particular now, but it does have enough kaminas as we go deeper. But anyway, Ava is an attraction towards, and Yira is a repulsion away. Those are the emotions. And they are born of intellect.
Quiet.
So the initial
There's nobody there.
the initial energy, which is Ratzon, gets ordered to Seichel, and that becomes manifest, that becomes born into an emotion either towards or away. That's it on the most simple level. It is.
Can you repeat that?
The initial chaotic energy of Ratzon, which could be called electricity. Like, you realize that all the information on the computer that you see day in, day out is just ordered electricity. You realize that? That's what a computer is.
That's what a motherboard is doing all day. It's taking bits of electricity and
It's just-
sending it and receiving it,
it's just a
ordering it.
So what is electricity, good or bad? It's neither good nor bad. It's electricity. It does what it could kill thousands of people and it could save thousands of people. It's just chaotic energy. So that energy comes down into the seichel. The seichel orders it, and now the emotion is born, which is either a drawing towards an idea or a repulsion away from an idea, a concept. So now let's understand what das is. Everyone's clear until here?
A little bit, as clear as possible.
It's good.
Question?
No, because these are big ideas. These are not
Right.
This is not Vortlach here. We're trying to understand the mechanics of reality. So this is not Vortlach, and this takes going over. I've gone over these ideas. I'm not going to tell you how many times I've been over the ideas because it would scare you. But you need to go over these ideas again and again and again and discuss them with your friends. Ask your teachers. Teach them to your children. Read them, learn them from other places. It's not a quick thing. Yeah, Eliezer.
Okay, so when you said in the beginning, if I got this right, Seichel is Chachma Bina and Das?
Yes.
Okay, so when you say that, okay, fine, let's just keep going. Hopefully it'll get clear.
Okay. We need to understand Das. This is going to be this is the share with Das. Okay. The Hadas, who Melashan v'ha'adam yada es Chava. Adam knew Chava in the biblical sense of He's intimate with Chava. The hu loshen his kashrus for his chavrus. It means connecting, binding oneself and connecting. I'm going to just finish off I'll finish the text and then we'll explain outside the lot of Shem. Yeah, shemakashe datoi bekesha amitz v'chazak ma'oid, that he connects his das with a strong connection, a very, very strong connection. The Yiska, like a peg, he drives it in machshavasoi, b'choizeh, with his machshava, with tremendous energy. B'gedulas ein sof baruch hu, in the inyan. Right now he's talking about Gadlus Hashem. The inyan could be any inyan, but we're talking about Gadlus Hashem. We're talking about the Holy Soul, how that intellect works. So he drives it into the concept of Gadlus Hashem, Baruch Hu. Ve'ein masich datoi. He doesn't let go of that. He stays with it. Ki af mishu chochem v'navrein b'gedulas ein sof baruch hu. Because even somebody who is a chochem, who has a lot of chokhmah and a lot of bina in regards to Gedulas Hashem, meaning he's a philosopher. Yeah? If he doesn't connect his das and drive in his machshava with tremendous energy and with his hasmad, with consistency, he's not going to end up with true emotions. They're going to be fleeting, illusionary emotions. But and therefore das is the mainstay, the foundation of the midas, of the emotions, and their energy. And it's comprised of both chesed and gevur, perish av unfair, v'yir of unfair, which is love and its branches and fear and its branches. Okay, that's a very, very intense paragraph, as you hear, yeah? It's moiridic, it's pashut moiridic. Das is the part of your mind that identifies with an idea. So can someone just tell me something, an idea that they're dealing with right now in business or in anything? Some concept that you can summarize in a couple of words or one word or
Free Palestine.
Okay, let's go with that. Free Palestine. Fine. So you've got these guys, you've got these guys who've been involved in they've been looking into the whole Palestinian-Israeli relationship thing, and they've come to the conclusion that Israel are evil and the Palestinians are this poor nation. Now, the more the person goes into that idea, the more the person is involved in researching that idea. Now, what eventually is...
hey, how are you, Doctor?
Aaron, can you mute yourself?
What will happen eventually? Free Palestine's a bit annoying. Let's just think of a different thing that we can do in one word. Is anybody involved in a business project right now that you can summarize in one word?
Certification.
Certification. Fine, good. Thank you, Sacha. So now you're in a bar, you went to a bar with a friend, you're sitting there, and you hear the guy next to you just say certification. What happens?
Your mind, your das, like brings back and like fills in and reminds you of all the things you've been.
That's later.
eating.
What's the most visceral thing that happens?
Your head turns.
Yeah, you just go that. In the exact same way as if someone said Yisocha.
Right.
In the exact same way. That's because in your das, you and the idea merge into one. Just like when Adam Yada Es Chava, When Adam knew Chava, the idea of a man and a woman coming together is a merging of the two into one. So when an idea is given the correct is given the correct treatment, and the Chochmah and the Bina are rubbing with each other in a very intense and consistent way, then the result is Das. So Das isn't really like a faculty of the mind. I the way that I love it described the most is that an idea falls into your Das. There's lots of ways of talking about Das, like loads of different ways. But my favorite way is thinking of Das as like a box. That when the Chochmah and Bina have interacted with each other in the correct way, then that idea falls into your Das. At that point, you and the idea have become one. And that's what we call identify. You have identified with the idea.
So the Chachma and the Bina are they are the ideas that then fall into the box of Das.
Not that they're the ideas. The Chochmah is the energy of the idea, and the Bina is the extrapolation of that energy. So there is no, without Bina, without Chochmah, there's no Bina. That's why Rosh Hashanah's 2 days, tangentially. Without Chochmah, there's no Bina. Without Chochmah, Bina's got nothing to work with. And without Bina, Chochmah is Zera Levatala.
Say that again. Without Chachma, Bina, without.
I mean, it's just like, what's a woman without a man? What's a man without a woman? A Bina without Chochmah has got nothing to work with.
Right.
And Chochmah without Bina is, like I said, pardon the idea, but Zera Levatala. It's Zera without any Kiyam Bichlal.
But I thought the woman is the box, is the Nekeva.
So okay, but we're talking now conceptually. We're talking about the idea that is, you're right. There is that aspect of male and female, and in that sense, Yisachar, the Abba and Imma, the Chochmah and Bina, are, so to speak, the male aspect when they come together, and the Das is the female aspect that receives that, in a sense. Remember, male and female, it sounds funny to say this, but I love this. Male and female are relative terms. Extremely relative terms, like amazingly relative terms. Male and female is, you are male and your wife is female. Your wife's relationship with the kids is she is male and the kids are female. So is she male or female? It depends in what context. I'm not giving a Pesach to the woke people, but that's different between man and woman. Male and female is very different between man and woman. Man and woman is binary. That's quite straightforward, or extremely straightforward.
Right, but we have to play both roles sometimes. We have to be givers and takers sometimes.
You're female.
Yeah.
You're my wife, you're male. They're all, when you're with your employees, you're male. When you're with your boss, you're female. It just depends on the dynamic. When you're with your students, you're male. When you're with your, so now this is the so this is the idea of Das. Das is the faculty of the mind which the sense of self gets bound up in. Now, this is very, very deep. This is amazing what we're about to say, B'ezrat Hashem. What has 1 + 1 = 2 got to do with you? What has 2 × 2 = 4 got to do with you?
It's a tool.
So?
It's a tool that we use.
That's a nice way of saying it. Meaning it's actually got nothing to do with you. It's not about you. Seichel is objective. Whether you're here or not, 2 times 2 equals 4. There's nothing about you in that. 2 times 2 equals 4 is the same to you as it is to me, as it is to him, as it is to her. There's nothing subjective about 2 times 2 equals 4. Any Inyan seichel is by definition objective. What about my emotions? It's the exact opposite. Seichel is absolutely objective. Midas, emotions, are absolutely subjective. Meaning, my love for you is talui on me. The minute I'm gone, there is no more my love for you.
Say that again. Seichel is objective. Midos are.
Subjective. Meaning that Seichel says 2 plus 2 equals 4, whether you're here or not. I don't care about you. It's nothing at all to do with you. 2 times 2 equals 4. Finished. You're here, you're not here. But my
That's objective.
love, that's objective. But my love for you, there is no love without me, or there's no love without you. Without people, there's no love. So love, it's my love for you. That's completely subjective. They're absolutely opposites. Everyone's with me? So now, this is why Das gives birth to emotion. Because Das is where you become enmeshed with the idea, where you and the idea merge. And that now means that emotions are available. Because without you, there's no emotion. You need the you to have emotions. So we go through the Chochmah Bina and we mamash delve in and we extrapolate, we analyze, we delve deeper, and we're not distracted. It's with consistency, etc. And the more we do that, the more myself becomes invested into the idea, the more I identify with the idea. And now at this point that I am identified with the idea, emotions become available to the idea. Before I am identified with the idea, there aren't emotions. And that's why the Rebbe said that if it's not done properly, the emotions that are born are called dimyonis shav, meaning they're not real emotions. They're just the kind of inspirational, like, comes through. Whereas when you get the idea, and this is very important, we'll finish it, this is so important, is when you get the idea into your kishkas and you and the idea merge, now it's not about inspiration. It's you. It's not something going through you. Inspiration is that amazing rabbi comes to town and he dazzles you with his wonderful rhetoric, and you're all like this for 15 minutes, yeah, and then it's gone. So what happened there? That didn't come from you. That came from him. If he's a good guy, then that meant that he had the ideas with Das, and that's generating emotions themselves. It's not coming from someplace else. It's self-generating. This is why the deepest level is Yades Hashem, to know Hashem, because that means that you and the idea have become one, and the emotions are of you, and they are being generated constantly, always. It's not a fleeting idea. You with me?
Yeah, the Piagetna said that as well.
A lot of people said this. Yeah.
Yeah. Rabbi Silver was talking about it Thursday night here in Baltimore about how there's a lot of people who think that they really want to do something and they think that that's a rut zone, but really but 3 years later you still haven't done anything about it. That's just called a wish. That's a loose wish. That's not an actual rut zone, because if it was a rut zone, it would actually be a part of you and it would matter and it would have gotten done already, right?
So what using the word Rotson is like we get because people use different words for different things, but in our the way we're learning it right now, we would say das as opposed to Rotson.
Okay.
You said with das, but I hear what you're saying. What do I want to say? One last
You
thing.
hear people say all the time, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, I want to get this certification, but like nothing happens.
Yes, exactly. Except for Gabriel, who's running on the machine right now.
Oh, he's waving, yeah.
But this is very important. This we'll finish on this. Is that when you know something with das, you stop quoting it. Why?
Because it's part of you.
Because it's you. You
Yeah.
might quote it as just as a convention, but you're not quoting an idea. Cole's mind, you don't know the idea with das, you're quoting it. But once the idea has gone into your das, you're not quoting it anymore because it's you. And that therefore the emotions are actually being generated in and of themselves all the time. And then not only do you become lit up, but you become the inspiration for everyone around you. Because those inspirational people are the ones, in most cases, are the ones who have das on the idea, where the ideas become part of them, and they are generating the emotions. So they come to town and they stand up on the podium, and they give their speech, and their emotions go into you and arouse you for a little bit and then go again. Whereas when the idea, you've put the energy in, you've put in the time, and you've got the idea clear, and it's gone into the das, then the emotion is yours. It's actually coming from you, from within. It's not coming from without. So that's das. So we've just gone through Chochmah, Bina, and das. There were pages, there were books and books of ink spilled on these ideas. And like you can imagine turning around to your child who's getting what's the word, impatient with learning Aleph base, and you're just like, kid, you have no idea what you're learning right now. It's the same with this Chochmah, Bina, and Das. Once you start getting into Kabbalah as well and start seeing the nuances and how in Chochmah there's also Chochmah, Bina, and Das, and then it just goes on, and it's so elegant. The system is just so elegant and godly. It's like once you start delving deeply into these ideas, the idea of like I'm a big fan of the Discovery program in Aish Torah. I love the proofs of Torah, but once you really go deep into these ideas, you don't need any proofs for the Torah. The elegance, the godliness of these ideas they're just clearly not man-made. Clearly not man-made. So we've just begun. We've got a lot more. We've got a long way to go. But anyway, shkoyach. Any questions?
A lot of questions, but we don't have the time.
So write them down, please, Chevre. I'm going to send out the Bli Neder. Oh, well, I'm going away tomorrow. I'm going to try and make the quiz. I would love it if you guys would do that. But anyway, so far I think I've maxed out on 3 people for 1 week.
I have a question. I just wasn't sure if you want to keep recording for it or not.
Make a decision.
All right. So the question is like, so the example I gave was personal, but it was that I have needed to lose weight for 20 years now. How can I go from making it a loose wish to an actual das? Like how can I really internalize it? Because I don't want to be one of these people who Chas v'shalom ends up on a hospital table or a gurney before finally taking something serious. That's how we are as humans. It's like that's something extreme has to happen, and then we'll start taking ourselves seriously. And how many people do we know that have got Chas v'shalom had heart attacks or strokes? 3 months later, they're back to eating poorly. They're back to not exercising. So why isn't it that knowledge is not power? Because we all know, I know what I should be doing, right? I should be dieting. I should be exercising. I should be, right? But knowledge is not power. It's the application of that knowledge that's power, right? So how do I internalize that to the point where it doesn't need to be a big emergency? But it really needs to happen. I'm not getting any younger.
So I'll tell you, I just decided that I wanted to lose weight just recently, and I'll show you what I did. That will maybe answer your thing 1 minute.
By the way, Adam, you're a personal trainer, right?
Oh, I got a bunch of
Adam's frozen, I think.
I
He worked out too much.
I think I bought like 4 books. I can only find one of them here, but I bought a whole bunch of books.
Oh, I saw that on Audible.
Yeah, so I just bought a bunch of books, and I'm gonna read them over and over again. See, when you say
Right.
knowledge isn't power, I would probably hazard a guess that you don't really have much knowledge on the thing. You haven't really gone into it.
But by knowledge, I just mean
You know,
that knowing that eating right and exercising equals a healthier life.
yeah,
That's
but the idea is to get that knowledge into you. This is what people hate. You've seen this book that we put out, the Reclaiming Sanity book. Did you get a copy?
No.
So if you know in the book I write that you should read the book 4 times, but really
right.
I read it 6 times. Yeah,
Didn't the Ramchal say that in Mesilas Yesharim?
everyone says that.
Yeah.
The problem with this is it's so unromantic. It's so boring. Like, imagine reading a book over and over. Like, it's hard enough to read it 1 time. But this is the whole point. The reason why people hate it so much is because it puts the ball squarely in your court. It puts the onus squarely on your shoulders. It's not about the psychologist. It's not about anything else. It's about reading the information again and again and again. If you're really serious about losing weight, then do some research on the right books to read and read them until their mama's falling to pieces. When I bumped into a new earth, yeah, and I
do you think audibles like audiobooks have the same impact?
I don't know. Only you know that. When I bumped into this book, yeah, I realized the energy of it. Look at this thing, man. It's like it's in pieces. It's all I read this so many times. It's falling to pieces. That's what a book should look like. Once, if you touch a book, like also my 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, if you touch a book that you see has got power in it, then wear it out. Literally.
Yeah, I've been saying that for years about Emunah. I've been telling people that.
Wouldn't getting a coach or a friend or making a game plan be a fast track, or is that just not going to last? Because as soon as you lose that pressure, you're going to quit.
I would assume that.
Or do both.
And again, everyone works slightly different. But
but it's a good way to start. It's a good way to start, by the way, is to have a friend or someone to mechayev you to do it. That's a good
someone who could keep you accountable.
There's for sure there's lots of tricks, there's lots of things along the way. But the foundation of everything has to be that you become one with the idea. Like the way you understand 2 times 2 equals 4. You live your life according to that. And I'll tell you, I'll give you just a very simple idea. Is you got kids? Yeah. How old do you have young kids? You have a 2-year-old, or you have a
10 and 12.
10 and 12. So I've got a 2-year-old, I've got 3-year-old. What happens when your 2-year-old child finds a half-eaten lollipop on the floor?
Please
puts it in his mouth.
Knock on my door.
He's like, yum.
Yeah.
What happens when you see a half-eaten lollipop on the floor?
Ew.
You feel disgusted. What's the difference? It's just because you're very clear on the germ theory, on etc., and you're actually repulsed by it. So you just haven't put enough energy into this Inyan. If it's really dear to you, then do the research. Like I said, the Chochmah and Bina has to be activated in a very intense way, and the more intense way, the more you do it, the more it will seep in, and it will start becoming a reality to you. And it will that's the foundation. Again, like Gabriel saying, like what everyone was saying, there's lots of techniques along the way, but they're all just techniques. The foundation has to be that that the idea has fallen into your das.
Mhm. I've been telling people this for years when it comes to Amuna, and I never thought to like apply it to other things because you know, people who have Amuna, they're still suffering when something bad happens, and you talk to them and it turns out they read a book on Amuna once 20 years ago. And you're like, so if you're not reading it 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, it's not a daily thing, then forget it. It's not going to be there. The key word is mindfulness, right? It's not going to be mindful. So if I'm reading a book on dieting every day for 10 minutes, then when I go to eat something, it's much more likely that I'm going to be mindful and be like, no, I've been reading about this. No, like, so it's got to be a daily part of my download. It's got to be
actually becomes you. Like I have,
right.
I strongly recommend, the lesson a day, the Hafetz Chaim.
Yeah, I have it.
So I don't like the right side, the Chizuk stuff. I don't read that, but just the halacha bit on the left side
Makes it mindful. Yeah.
That's not actually. Codes of Michael. Exactly. It just brings it, just like you said, it makes you conscious of it, But we're even going a little step further where it actually becomes you, which is a little step further.
Yeah.